Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to Apex Online Racing. This is Season 16 of the GT3 series. It's a Sprint Cup series. 60 minutes of racing here this evening at the Hungaroring. This is Tier 2, and so as it probably stands to reason, it is a Tier 2 Tuesday. Got quite used to these Tier 2 Tuesdays. Just coming towards the end of first practice now, and drivers will be returning to the pits in just a moment, and we can get qualifying underway. Tier 1 last night went pretty well. Not too many major incidents, although it is an incredibly full racetrack this evening. 43 cars out there on track, and this circuit has a maximum of 50 cars anyway, with only 50 pit boxes. So, qualifying is beginning as we speak. We will try and jump on board with the first car out of the pit. It's looking like car number 68. It is Carl Schubert. Indeed it is. And we will jump on board and get a bit of a run, hopefully from their front splitter. There we go, on the front splitter. In fact, let's go in board with them. So they just done turn 1, swinging down through turn 2 now. Nice left-hander, quite long. Want to make sure you don't go on the throttle too early. Roll on the throttle now, see if he can keep it flat through turn 3. Does keep it flat even on cold tyres. Obviously this will not be their fastest lap possible. This is the out lap, so cold tyres. But now up into turn 4, this swift left-hander. A lot of curve on the inside. Got to be very brave before getting hard on the brakes for turn 5. Yet another long, deceptive corner. Get on the power too soon and you'll find yourself well outside of track limits. So then hard on the throttle and then swinging it in to the chicane. Lots of cars there getting caught out with the second part of the chicane before now. Thrown it into this first left and right-hander. Slightly slower. This then opens up into a faster left-hander. Should be absolutely flat through here. Little lift on those cold tyres. Well, then getting on the brakes again and throwing it into the right turn. And then down the hill. Down towards turn 12. Hard on the brakes here. We saw some moves being made here last night. Through the little kink that is 2A before getting hard on the brakes again for the final left-hand corner, turn 13. Rolls on the throttle again, now lining himself up at turn 14, the final turn, and they will see what they can do on the first flying lap as Schubert are leading car out on the circuit. So the first driver that will be able to set a time, they will be setting the benchmark here. That let's stay on board for this bit. He has got traffic joining the circuit in front of him, but I imagine that is going to jump out of the way. But you get a bit of an idea of the optimum racing line. Big chunk of inside curve, rolls it all the way onto the outside before pulling it back across. Trying to reduce the distance they have to cover as much as possible. Then getting on the brake, throwing it in here. Little bit wide on the apex, but did manage to hold together. Oh, big load of opposite lock there, trying to keep the car in check. I think a little bit deep there. I think that unsettled moment might have ruined the lap, not sure. Big chunk of inside curve there. Car doesn't bounce too much, holds it together. Is catching up with the back of the McLaren in front though. Has gone a little bit deep there on the apex. The brakes, big hard rev of the engine there as he downshifted super early. He's flashing like mad. Yes, and the McLaren jumps out of his way. Well done. Last thing you want to do is be blocking someone on their fast lap, especially when you are only on your out lap. Through turn 10 and then to 11. Rolls the throttle. Oh, a bit of hesitation there on the exit though. That is going to cost him some time. Down towards turn 12. Hard on the brakes, swinging it in. Big chunk of inside curve, getting plenty of exit run. And then hard on the brakes, holds it into the left-hand side. Almost double apex that turn. Ooh, short shift to try and get the power to stick down. Before then going up to turn 14. Goes a little bit deep at the middle of the corner. Does manage to hold it back together, but this is going to be the first lap. So what is going to be the benchmark here? What is going to be the first flying lap that we see? The 144. Now in practice we were seeing them way further down than that. And there we go, 143 has just appeared. That is from Zetec. So still lots of cars out there doing what they need to do. We're going to have a quick look at Zetec. This is for the Jagamo Racing Team. Car number 14. Again, the McLarens went well here last night. One of those cars that don't really have many circuits they go particularly predominantly well at. We'll say that. It's one of those all-rounders that does pretty well everywhere, but it seemed to look very comfortable here. Oh, big chunk of inside curve there. I would very much imagine that's probably invalidated the lap on that one. Probably a bit too much curb taken, and no actual improvement on his lap time at the moment. Seeing people that have set laps who are on big improvements. Karl Schuber, again, improving. Significantly improving. Actually, he's 0.4 up on his lap time. Let's jump on board with Dan Bernard, who is just going through the chicane as we speak. For the DBR Racing. I'm going to vote that's Dan Bernard Racing. Just going to a wild guess at that one. But that's what that stands for. There is a yellow flag down at turn 1, car number 47. Hopefully that is just a car that's pulled off to the side, possibly. Everyone's still pouring through there. And yes, that car has disappeared back to the pits. So Bernard still massively, massively up on his lap time. 0.07 of a second up on their lap time. Robert Arlavi as well on a big run. And Lucas Egger as well on a big run. So we'll see where this puts Bernard. He's 0.8 up on his lap. Comes towards the line. Was in 13th. Where's this going to stick him? Sticks him in second place, just behind Schuber. Really, really good effort there. Gets himself right up the list. Right, let's jump on board quickly with Egger, who just crossed the line. And then goes across into 4th. Typically, just as we jumped on board with them. Let's have a quick look at this. That's one of the Mustangs. One of the brightest pink Mustangs you will ever see. Mathiasson, the Hex. Comes across the line. Was in 21st. Nicely improved up into 9th position. Craig Law, another driver on a big improvement. Again, keep catching them right at the end of the lap. This is for Sector Blitz Racing. Was in 22nd. Now put to 8th place. Nicely done. So people at the top that are improving. Dan Bernard is still improving. Rob Arlavi, Lucas Egger, and Mr. Jones is improving quite significantly. We're going to jump on board with him. He's currently running in 7th place. And we'll see how he does. This is the final turn. We're going to roll on the throttle. We'll see if he can get that great big car to hunker down and go towards the line. He was in 7th. Now up into 2nd place. Mr. Jones will be very, very pleased with that one indeed. Another improvement here. Very nicely done for Adam. For the Skaven Racing Tribe. Gets himself into 5th place in the 888 car. Going to jump back on board with Lucas Egger in the Visceral Esports Stealth BMW. Car number 728 currently running in 7th place. But significantly up on their lap time. Enough that they should go fairly well up the order as well. 0.04 of a second quicker than they were before. Through the final turn, gets the BMW to hunker down and goes for the line. Oh, might have gone a little bit wide there, might just roll the throttle on a bit too soon. No, it doesn't, goes into pole position. Fantastic lap from that gentleman there. 1:43.390. We just had a change here. Here we go, this is for the virtual drivers. Oh, sorry, virtual driver by TX3. Laurent Bozico. Coming towards the end of their lap as well. 6th place on the grid at the moment, but improving. Only 0.1 up on their lap, but that should be enough to see them jump up the order a fair bunch. Up into 4th place. Nicely done. 2nd row on the grid. Very good. So back on board with Iselovic. Iselovic. I think that's how you pronounce that one. Apologies if not. And a quick shout out in the chat there. Good evening, Ben. Good to see you. And yes, all your team's liveries are working just fantastically now. We did see them very briefly on the circuit at one point, but no doubt we will see them during the race as well. So Iselovic was in 8th and stays in 8th place. Nathaniel Shirley takes away pole position. Now, I would have said that yesterday that maybe these didn't look like they were doing too well here, the old Fords, but Nathaniel Shirley has just put in a very low 1:43.052, so that is wildly faster than anyone else up there. Who we've got here? We have is Smulders. With JS1 AOR, that's car number 19, car number 24, running in 19th place. That might have been a little bit too much inside curve, or possibly not. They might have just held that together. So just under 6 minutes of qualifying left. It's kind of around the halfway point where people have dipped in and picked up a fresh set of tyres. So we might not see any real improvements. As you can see, the blue marker on the cars on the right-hand side of the screen on the track map, that indicates anyone on the blue is on a sort of a warm-up lap or an out lap, or a significantly slower lap that's been invalidated. Yellow flag obviously there, 916, but presumably that is someone that's just abandoned the lap midway through. But Smulders still pushing on, and 0.3 up on the lap time, so they are in 20th place as they come towards the line, and this sees them... Oh no, it doesn't. That must have been invalidated. I think that was during the chicane where we did see them make quite a, let's just say, a brave effort at the chicane. Someone that did just do a big improvement though. Here we go. We've got Amir Kasatarash. We'll go with Amir Kasatarash for the Formula Racing League. Car number 789 gets himself up into 19th place. And who we've got here? Eric Loggins as well. Again, always seem to catch them right as they're about to cross the line. Car number 82 currently running in 31st place. What will happen now when they cross the line? 27th place, so a little improvement. But as they said on the supermarket advert, every little helps. Another driver who is still improving. Isalovic in the 888 car, still pushing on hard, runs it through turn 4. Managing to get the car to just about stick and do what they want them to do. Decent run. They're 200ths of a second up on the lap time. In fact, that's now 300ths. Oh, although that was a bit of a choice line through the chicane, should we say. Trying to find people who are on big improvements. For K1 Esports, this is Vermac. Currently running in 43rd position, but I think this might be possibly one of their first flying laps. We'll stick with them. That lovely white on white, green flashing McLaren. Going to have a little look to see as to where car number... There we go. This is car number 59. There was big improvements for them. They were in 41st, up into 30th place. Lovely improvement for them there. Vermac, this is definitely their first flying lap, and they have left it mightily late in qualifying to set a flying lap. Oh, we are seeing possibly someone having a bit of a jump around in the background there. Not sure what that was or who that was. There seemed to be a bit of a weird... weirdly positioned car. Vermac comes across the line, was in 43rd, gets himself up into 20th place. What a huge jump up the order. But Sipka Racing, Ivo Zoric running in 38th place at the moment in that 175. Looking to make big improvements though, and their lap time is on a decent roll to become a big improvement. 0.6 and a half up on their lap time. In fact, I've gone up to 7. So not hanging about, really pushing with 2 minutes of qualifying left. They should get another couple of laps in. Nearly getting held up by the Porsche in front. He'll run it all the way to the line and see what they can do. So he was in 40th. And now all the way up into 15th place. Huge jump up the order for that driver. So we saw them battling out fairly well at the beginning of last race. So interesting to see what they can do here. Switching over now, Nathaniel Shirley back out there trying to gain even more of an advantage. Still 300th of a second in front of Bernard, but in that Ford Performance Mustang, which does just look and sound so fantastic, is pushing hard forward. In fact, let's see if we can jump on the dash. Yes, we can. Just go quiet for a moment and listen to those glorious V8 noises. Does complete another lap, and I'm trying to think if that was an improvement. In fact, it was. Yes, that was an improvement. 1:42.977. So well and firmly into the 42s. I think it was very, very high 42s we were seeing yesterday in Tier 1. So it gives you an idea of just how close Tier 2 is to Tier 1 these days. There really is not a great deal between them. Luca, in the old Porsche, I believe, absolutely running away with it at the moment. Third place and a big slide through turn 4. Full commitment there. Not entirely sure how he managed to hold on to that. Rachel's 350Z liveried car. Oh, and he does end up going wide. Bit of a mistake there. But Luca will be very happy with that. Up in third place at the moment. Is there anyone on Brig improvements? Yes, Joe Dorber. Big improvements for Rebound Racing pensioners. 0.4 up on their lap. What can they do? They've got one corner left to go. Such a busy circuit here as well. There's just not a great deal of room across the race. Oh, and there we go. Dorber up into second place. Leaves it to the very last minute to try and get an improvement. Shirley's still out there improving. Who else have we got here? Melvin Crows. This driver improving for the CrowdStrike Racing by Lippert Motorsport. Lovely number 233 Lamborghini. Looks very, very smart. Runs to the line, was in 25th, gets himself up into 8th place. So there's just only a few cars left to go. Eric Loggins, a driver on a big improvement, was in 20th. Oh no! They'll be devastated with that. They were up on their lap. They were having a great time, and I'm not sure if that was commentator's curse. I apologise if it was. But yeah, we jumped on board with them at just the wrong time, it seemed. But Nathaniel Shirley was our leading driver at the end of qualifying. Then it was Joe Dorber, who was just ever so slightly down the pit road. And then Mr. Jones, who is a bit further down again. In fact, I think his car is technically hiding. I think it's somewhere on the screen, but it's just not showing where it needs to be unless he's still out on a lap. Yes, actually he is still out on a lap. He just hasn't returned to the pit. Yeah, there we go. Seeing in the chat, the commentate curse is real. It is. That is my excuse for being so absolutely poor at racing, is that I immediately curse myself because I am always watching myself drive. So yeah, that's my excuse, and I'm definitely going to stick with it. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm just absolutely awful at racing. But enough of that. Let's have a quick run through the grid order. It should be that camera there. Yes, it is. That is the one we want. Finally, the cameramen have finally woken up. Sadly, Nathaniel Shirley isn't going to show up on that lovely camera because for some reason it won't show up quite yet. Need to do a bit of an update on my files, I think, on that one for the new car. But Nathaniel Shirley running in pole position. Second position is Joe Dorber. Mr. Jones in third. Luca in fourth place. He'll be really happy with that result. Zitek in fifth place. Dan Bernard in sixth. Lucas Egger in seventh place. Melvin Kroos in eighth. This is Amir Kasatarash in ninth place. Smolders in 10th. Iselovich in 11th place. Craig Law in 12th place. Carl Schuber 13th. Laurent Bozacco in 14th. Mathiasen in 15th place. This is... Oh, I don't think I've actually ever said this one. Trich. I believe that is Trich in 19th place. Misiak in 17th place. 18th place on the grid is James Cowley. And Igor Kristanich in 19th place. Robert R. Lavi all the way down in 20th place. Driver we've seen has done many, many things. Right. And we continue onwards down through the order. Zoricic in 21st place. Allendorf in 22nd. Satam in 23rd place. Addison in 24th. Azami in 25th place. Shackerman in 26th. Sims 27th. Eric Loggins down in 28th place. Ulovich in 29th. And rounding out the top 30 is Marco Ripper. Oh, they've got a lovely... I love the Rover Racing BMW. Absolutely fantastic looking car. Vermac in 31st place. Hapts in 32nd. Capira in 33rd. Demazur in 34th place. Orishkim in 35th. 36th is Oliver Braun. And this is Troy Phaser McCoggle. Sorry, McGonigal. McGonigal, there we go. Sorry, I've completely broken every word I could have got out of that. Running in 37th place. Zoa, 38th place. Brogan, 39th. Jokic in 40th. George in 41st. Oh, that's just changed. Why has that just changed? What happened there? We had a little bit of a weird jump around the order. Let's try and find out what happened there. Jokic is now 38th. Have we just lost a load of cars? I'm very confused. George. Then we had Robinson in 40th. Callins in 41st, sorry, and rounding out the grid, Jay Jans in the number 335. Mercedes. Goodness gracious. So many words and not a great deal of time to try and say them all. And do you know what? I think I did all right there. Lots and lots of drivers here this evening, though. It's lovely to see the grid as absolutely packed as it is. About 30 seconds to go before we start the outlap, the formation lap, as it were. Track conditions are optimum at the moment, so it's well rubbered in from first practice and from qualifying. Track temp is 30 degrees, ambient temperature is 25, so not overly hot, but I imagine some of the cars out there will be quite happy to see some slightly lower temperatures. It means the tyres might last just that little bit longer. But while everyone is getting ready for their outlap, let's have a little look at the results from last week. So Lucas Egger was our winner last time round, followed home by Joe Dorber in second and Melvin Kroos in third place last time round. Nathaniel Shirley was fourth, Mr. Jones fifth, Carl Schuber in sixth, Zurich in seventh, Smulders eighth, Eric Loggins ninth, and Scheckerman 10th. So that is your top 10 drivers in the championship at the moment. And getting a little bit of a look at that, Lucas Egger down in 7th place this time round. Joe Dorber, 2nd place. So this could be a really good one for them. And then looking at Melvin Kroos. And Melvin Kroos, whereabouts? I think I'm probably being incredibly blind of just not seeing Melvin Kroos. Or is he way down the order? I'm pretty sure he is way down the order, actually. Let's have a little bit of a look. We're going to keep scrolling down until we find him. I've almost certainly gone past him. I almost certainly have. For anyone at home, I will just say, massively dyslexic. So when it comes to reading some things in a hurry, it all just becomes a little bit difficult. And for some reason, I am struggling to find him on the timing screen. Now, is it the timing screen on my end that's thrown a wobbly, or do we not have... Oh, no, we do. He's in 8th. I'm just incredibly blind. Goodness gracious. Sorry about that, Melvin Kroos. For whatever reason, I just could not see that name at all. So probably the only time you're going to see all of these cars driving in such a sedate manner. And you can see sort of mid-pack just how many cars there are as we're here on the world's highest drone cam ever. Could have a significantly larger amount of liveries than we did have before. I know one for certain that did come in this week. Was sent in here, the Sector Blitz Racing team. Sent through a whole bunch of liveries for me to install, so I think they've got 3 different cars out there with different liveries on them. So another huge selection of liveries came in. Right, cars are going to be starting to stack up, getting themselves in the right place. There we go, just seeing in the chat, someone saying blind and dyslexia, the complete package. Yeah, I am wearing glasses, to be fair. And if I did take them off, wouldn't be able to read a damn thing. So there we go. 789 is also getting a shout out, and 868. See, all these repetitive numbers, they're just breaking my brain. But right, coming around the final turn, getting ready for the first drive towards the line, we are going to go to the drone cam, get a bit of an idea. Hopefully everyone's going to make it through here clean. I've just noticed that car number 4 is starting from the pit lane. Which one is car number 4? That is Kristinic, Igor Kristinic. So, for whatever reason, starting from the pit lane, but there we go. Lights go green. It's a good start. And the timing board's having a bit of a wobble. It looks like Dorber has already managed to take the lead, but he's going to be on the outside for turn 1. Can he outbrake the Mustang? Surely not. Nearly a bit of a rub. There we go. Luca immediately on the attack. Luca up into second place. He'd be really pleased with that. He has pushed well forwards. Car still streaming through turn 1. Big movers and shakers going on at the very, very front. And again now, Luca trying to go all the way around the outside so we can have the inside maybe for this next one. They're going to be 3 wide. Surely not. Oh! Nathaniel Shirley gets spun round, and that's the opening. He's on the brakes. This could be a disaster. He gets hit. He gets hit again. Lots and lots of cars going everywhere. Yellow flags, guys. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, needless to say, that was not the beginning of the race that we wanted to see. Nathaniel Shirley, who was in pole, and we're going to stick with him actually as he just comes through what is the wreckage. And that car does not seem to be doing a particularly good job of going around corners. So that kind of went from bad to worse and then a little bit worse again. No doubt we are going to see some big, big penalties coming to those drivers involved with it. We are very strict on lap 1, especially that early in lap 1 as well. But with all of that, Mr. Jones, who was kind of a little bit further back and kind of keeping his nose out the way, has now gone into pole position. Luca dropped back to second place. But yes, has to be said, that was choppy at best. That's putting it very, very politely. I think there's going to be a lot of very upset cars out there today. You can sort of see the way they've all split up. Some of these cars towards the back, sort of trying to drag themselves in. Nathaniel Shirley trying to drag himself back. Marco Ripper, that Roa Racing BMW, also was caught up in that. I think, you know, we know everyone's very keen to try and gain positions as quickly as possible, but you do have to think about your other racing compatriots. Dan Bernard up into third place at the moment. In fact, let's get away from this horrible drone cam. And I'm just seeing in the driver's chat there are some slightly upset people, and understandably a lot of people's races thrown away there. So a little bit of a squabble starting to heat up here. Smolders versus Isolovic. Or Isolovic versus Smolders. In fact, the battle behind them is starting to heat up even more. It's becoming a bit of a three-way for the mid-engine cars. Schubert as well, sniffing around the back of them. I think there's going to be some choice words between the drivers a bit later. I would imagine it was a bit messy that time round. It was a bit disappointing, to be brutally honest. A little bit disappointing to see such a big incident. I think normally I'm here and praising the Tier 2 drivers, saying that they are usually cleaner than Tier 1, but not this time round, I'm afraid. It was not the best effort from anyone, I don't think. A little bit too hungry, and to be fair, just showing a bit of patience has done Mr. Jones an absolute world of good, as I don't think he was involved in anything there. His car looks battle scar free. I think he managed to just be in the right place, right time, and avoid anything too much. But yes, I imagine these stewards are going to have an absolute meltdown when it comes to this one. But battles continuing on all throughout the pack. In fact, we might see a little move here into turn 1. Nothing quite. I think that is Dawson rejoining, not Dawson, I do apologise, I said that completely wrong. We just saw them coming out onto the track. It was one of the Ferraris. Dorber is the one, not Dawson. At this early stage in the race, maybe everyone having a little bit of a moment of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have been quite so aggressive with it. Zacco has picked up a drive-through penalty already. Now that'll be for track limit infringements. No penalties will be put into place this evening by anything else other than the in-game penalty system. So probably going to see drive-through penalties coming through for track limits abuse. And then obviously the worst of the worst, the stop-go 30 if you speed in the pit lane. Last thing you want to do is speed in the pit lane. It's a big, big old mess. But at the moment, jumping on board with Jay Jans, who is keeping a really nice battle going on with Callens and Robert Arlavi just behind, trying to take advantage. And Jans did go pretty deep there. This could be the opportunity that Robert needs to try and get by. Arlavi's going to look to the inside. He does go through. So whether or not that Mustang is maybe running with some damage, he is way, way down on his lap time. So I wonder if he maybe got caught up in that lap 1 incident and is just trying to run the car on and see what he can do. But yes, definitely losing time. Way, way down on his time, in fact. Right, going to jump back on board. This front end battle is starting to heat up a little bit. Nathaniel Shirley coming back out of the pits now. So I think he has lost nearly 2 laps with all that damage he had to have repaired. I'm sure it's at least one. I mean, he's off the race, off the lead lap now. We've got cars coming through. I'm pretty sure we just saw Crows coming on through and past. But at the moment, Mr. Jones is holding on to pole position. Nice little squabble going on here. Side by side. Somehow managed to keep themselves to themselves then. There was no incident, but can they get it done before turn 4? Are they going to be side by side again? They're still side by side. Big load of curb usage. Very brave there. So easy for the car to get out of shape. But now this little squabble, the battle for 7th place. Schuber, Zytek, Law, Mathiasen, Critch, and Zorich as well getting involved in this. In fact, there might be even more. This battle really starting to heat up. Mustang does manage to sneak his way through. Mathiasen gets past Law. This is going to be a bit of an odd race now because we're going to have drivers well out of position and a lap down. So they're probably going to be outpacing drivers in front of them, but they are technically going to be under blue flag orders, which doesn't mean they have to get out the way, but it does make their life significantly harder because nobody is going to realistically want them sort of holding them up at any points on the circuit. So Eric Loggins will jump back down. This is Digital Racing Systems Esports. Having a nice little battle out at the moment with Allendorf. This one sort of seems to be concertinaing in and out. We'll see who's better on a straight line as they come across the line and begin another lap of battle. I think there's just enough of a gap between them that sort of it should be okay. This one, though, this is side by side at the moment. Jokic versus Sheckham, and Sheckham going to the outside, seeing what he can do on the brakes. Is he going to be able to get the switch back? Possibly not. And then we also have, I'm not sure which one of the Ferraris that is, but a slightly battered looking Ferrari trying to catch up with the rear of them. But now we've got someone on the inside as well. That's Anderson. Makes a little bit of a mistake. Goes deep. He's going to be off the racing line as he tries to swing it into turn 3. Can they get it back together? Yes, they can. But these drivers are getting very, very close. And the battle pack behind them as well of Braun, Robinson and Brogan, I believe. All 3 of those drivers as well having an absolute squabble. But in fact, I think it might be even closer. We're going to jump back to this one. There's an incredibly battle-scarred car there of Braun. But these drivers still pushing ahead fairly well. So Braun looking like he's basically been down a water slide and then into a pile of bricks. Definitely got involved in the lap 1 incident. By no means am I saying it was any of their fault, essentially, but I think there was lots and lots of cars all over the place. Really, the only way to avoid that incident was to try and come to a complete stop. But many, many drivers aren't going to do that. Mainly because you think you're going to get rear-ended by someone else not hitting the brake so hard, and 2, you don't really want to lose the positions, but you are meant to, under yellow flags, slow down and prepare to stop. But sadly, not many people bothered to look into that, which is why they will be getting hit incredibly hard with a penalty stick for that lap 1 incident that we saw earlier on. Lovely mid-pack squabble we're keeping an eye on at the moment. But let's see if we can get a bit of an idea of just how tight all of this is. So I think it is Anderson is that driver, sort of the lead car of this pack. That's the wrong one. We want that one. Over the rear wing, looking back. Oh, and there's moves going on in the background. We'll try and keep a bit of an eye on it from here. And I believe... oh, see if we can get it to go. There we go. So this was the squabble going on. That was Robinson and Brogan, I think, making their way through. Oh, and I think we may have just had a disconnect there because suddenly we're with Capera in the TF Sport number 8. That's the Aston Martin, and I'm not sure what happened there. The cameraman obviously decided we were going to be looking at someone else. Skaven Racing Tribe being driven by Oselovic, that Triple 8 car. Again, the world's worst placed banner of all time. I mean, great for advertising the game, but not so wonderful for when you're trying to watch the racing. Oh, number 68, getting a little bit out of shape there, it looked like, through turn 13. Just about managing to hold it together. And speaking of giant in-your-face advertisement and banners, massive shout-out to our sponsors this evening. Driver 61, there is a link to all things Driver 61 in the bio but underneath this video. Oh, and then we go into turn 1. Car number 68 does get down the inside. Oh, there's contact. Round it goes. Oh, that was not, again, probably not the best. We're going to go back on the replay, see if we can watch that from the helicam, see if we can see it unfold. So while I was talking about that, Driver 61 offer race coaching, sort of seminars and all sorts of things, well worth looking into. If you want to improve your sim racing, they are the people to talk to. So here's a replay of that incident. So into turn 1, you can see the McLaren. It is up the inside. Oh, I think sort of game, set and match, really. That kind of is the McLaren's fault from what we could see there. There wasn't really a great deal that could be done about that. It just looked like the car sort of ran out of road and was continuing to push on. So, yeah, bit of a shame on that one. But then the other one of our sponsors, that we'll say about it, is our lovely patrons. And if you would like to become a patron, please visit the link to our Patreon. We would greatly appreciate it. Again, link to that is in the description below this video. That you get to vote on certain tracks and bits and pieces for the upcoming season. So if you are involved and you think, oh, I'd really love to get some obscure track or a track that no one really likes, Zolder, on the list, then possibly you could vote for it. You could try and get it on the list for you if you wanted. But Mr. Jones at the moment still holding on to pole position, followed by Luca, followed by Bernard, Kroos, Smolder and Zitek. Those drivers all keeping themselves to themselves at the moment. We can there also see our turn 1 and turn 2 lead at the background. Oh, car number 28. We have just seen a yellow flag out for car number 28. We'll see if we can jump back to that. That is Azami. They have gone back to the pits. So we're going to go to the replay, see if we can spot what happened here. This looks like it's down at turn 12. Jumps to the inside. Okay, I have no idea. Oh, kind of what is going on there. That was very, very messy indeed. A very, well, probably a good job I did actually get that one on the stream, because that was very daft from those drivers. Yeah, needless to say, a little bit disappointed in that. Not entirely sure what is going on with everyone this evening, but whatever it is, definitely need to sort of sort themselves out. So the continuing battle at the moment here at the front is Mr. Jones versus Luca. These two very, very close together, squabbling it out as best they can. Going to jump back though. We've got Mathiasson, who is in a nice little squabble, and they've got Law right behind them. Let's see if we can look over that rear wing. That's not the rear wing. That's the rear wing. And if you weren't entirely sure by the big Mustang on the front, this is a Ford that they're driving, as it says there, right on the rear wing for you to see. And you can see just how strong that car is in a straight line. Up the inside, though, goes Law. I think there was a little bit of rubbing. We're going to go back onto the replay on the drone cam this time. Definitely gets himself there. There's a little rub. It's not much of a rub. I think that was nothing more than a racing incident. Oh, but then something seems to have happened there. So we're going to go back another 10 seconds as they're rubbing and rubbing and rubbing. And then it's ended up a bit wide. I'll be honest, this is becoming slightly unbearable. I just can't believe how messy it's been this evening. It's a real shame. It is a real shame. Although I am seeing in the chat someone saying that some Wreckfest action and the audience loves it. Maybe. I think some of the audience are probably quite enjoying it, but I'm not entirely sure sort of people that came to watch their drivers or teams compete are probably overly happy with what is going on this evening. It has been just bump after bump, incident after incident, and it is a real shame. We knew the circuit was going to be super busy. We had so many cars out there this evening, but yes, no one likes to see it this way. I think this is a bit of the timing board having a bit of a wobbly. It's showing that Orishkin here in the red Panda Racing is in the middle of a battle, but he is not. That car behind is down a lap, if I am not mistaken. I think that is McGonigal. It is. That's McGonigal, who is down in 31st place. Nathaniel Shirley is putting in the fastest lap of the race. I mean, understandably, he was the quickest in qualifying, but sadly, he is all the way down in 38th place, simply due to that first lap incident. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I mean, almost certainly going to be some sort of heavy, hefty fines coming in, I think. Squabbles continuing then. Mathiasen versus Law versus Chirich. Although it does look like Mathiasen has just pulled away a little bit. Law is now very much under attack from Chirich. Oh no, he's not. That is not Chirich again. The timing board throwing a bit of a wobbly. That again is as a lapped car. That is kind of a 77. Who in reality is that car number 77? Something 7. We'll wait until we can see the number on the side of it again. Probably won't be able to see it now for another half a lap. 777, I think. So that would make it Dorber. Yes, I thought I recognised that car. So that's Dorber running in 28th place, trying to unlap themselves at this point. Basically, all these cars here that you can see that have got the tick to say they've pitted, these are all cars that were involved in that first lap incident. So they might gain some positions as people pit stop, because they have at least got their mandatory stops out, but it is going to be unlikely that they'll be able to do too much. Nice little battle going on here, though. And this is Misak versus Egger versus Loggins. Now BMW's got a hefty bit of front end damage, though. I'm not sure if that was from lap 1 or not. It's been a while since we've had a look at the Visceral Esports Stealth BMW. But right behind, Eric Loggins in that lovely digital racing esports car. And Eric Loggins hopefully not going to the danger zone. That's where my dad's out there. Well, the grid has been given what can only be described as an absolute beating in terms of order, simply due to obviously that lap 1 incident that caught so many cars out. Yeah, it's certainly changed things up a little bit. Jumping on board now, though, Melvin Crows running in 4th place at the moment. And in fact, let's have a look and see if we can jump on his dashboard. Here we go, on that lovely Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2. You can see in his rear-facing camera just how close Smolders is getting to him. That's a fantastic sounding car, that wailing V10. Obviously the same engine that is in the Audi, but somehow it sounds better when it's here. And this lovely, lovely Lamborghini. So about 20 minutes of the race have now been done. Bros still pushing on nice and hard, holding on to 4th place at the moment. I would say in almost certainty there is going to be a penalty for some of the front end drivers. So it would not be surprising if maybe some of these drivers post-race end up gaining positions. I think that what we see people cross the line this evening is not going to be the final ordering, I'm going to say, unless there's some sort of massive advantage that they've managed to gain. But I'm going to vote that there might be a bit of a change. Just notice as well that Luca has managed to get through into 1st place. We did actually miss that incident, also that manoeuvre. We were on board with the wailing V10. just about holding it together. We saw a tiny bit of opposite lock there. They are very, very much being chased down by Smulders. Smulders doing a convincing job of catching up to the back, running in 5th place, wanting to get himself into 4th, and then possibly, once he is released, is he going to be able to go even further again? Nathaniel Shirley, a lap down, obviously. Just in the back of the shop. Mathiasson is having a nice little squabble again, though. Oh, we've got a yellow flag. That is car number 16, I believe. Is there even a car? There is a car 16. Where is car 16? Come on, timing board. Give me some life. I need to see car 16. This is the annoying thing. Once they start moving on the list, they get incredibly hard to spot. Where has it gone? Where has car number 16 gone? For whatever reason, I saw it. It's Allendorf. He's around the 20th kind of place. There it is. Thomas Allendorf. We're going to go back. Hopefully we've gone back 30 seconds is enough. It's not. I'm so sorry, everyone at home. We can see Allendorf getting himself going. That was there at the chicane. I think there was more than one car involved in that. Annoyingly, not going to be able to go back far enough to now witness what is going on there. Battle going on still here, though. Number 226, Craig Law, chasing after the back of Thurston. Obviously, it's going to jump forward 30 seconds in just a moment or two. There we go. And he is still behind at the moment. But Law doing a fantastic job of holding on to the back of that thundering great V8. And also not going deaf just by listening to the damn thing in front of him. Probably spitting in flames and going. I do find it quite funny, though. If you look at the Mustang GT3 current car in real life, it is... The thing's been quite common. I know it was at Paul Ricard, but the rear boot lid is blowing off of those cars for some reason. And for whatever reason, they're coming off. So they've been running them without the boot lids, and it doesn't seem to affect the aero quite too badly. But there we go. Seeing a shout out in the chat for Dan Bernard, car number 187, saying push, push, push. Yeah, Dan Bernard, 3rd place, doing really nicely at the moment. He is currently lapping ever so slightly slower, though, than the cars behind on that last lap. But that could just be a bit of a slow lap in comparison, because his fastest lap's been very, very good. See, running in 3rd place, number 187 of Dan Bernard. And still that little battle in the background is continuing to rage on. And it was setting for a brief moment. Oh, here it is. Yes, it's the car number 17. The greatest livery we have ever seen on one of the GT3 cars. Love an anime livery. Good Smile Racing. Fantastic liveries in real life. And just look how ridiculously bright and dark this is. It's fantastic. It's the perfect livery. I don't care what anyone says. Bang an anime girl on the side of your racing car and it's a billion times faster. Oh, Law's gone into the pit. Yes, yes, we see Law in the pit. We see Jokic in the pit. Satam and Orishkin have jumped into the pit. Law is going to be the big one to keep an eye on there. Pitted with 36 minutes left of the race. Sorry, I'm just fully in love with this livery. Absolutely fantastic. It's just so great. Kirich, livery of the day. I think livery of the season probably goes to you on that one. It is just so ridiculous and loud, and I absolutely love it. Lewis Robinson for the Simtech Racing team. Car number 336 is being chased down by Robert R. Larby in the 189 Porsche. And I'm just seeing there in the chat, Ben Milden is saying that the livery was hurting his eyes. I mean, it might not be as classic and professional as your team, but you do have to put it somewhere. You're seeing that, yeah, Rightis in the chat saying about the old AMG has 3 official liveries. Pretty sure that is Good Smile Racing. I'm pretty sure that, because that is a real-life racing team. I think it's Good Smile. Absolutely ridiculous liveries, and it's just what's not to love about it. I think that's coming out of GT Asia to be fair. There are some fantastic liveries over there. Bernard now into the pits. That's one of our big movers and shakers, was running in 3rd place. Someone's saying that didn't Lewis start in the back row? Annoyingly, mid-race, no way for me to check. But possibly, I think probably has gained a bit of an advantage due to the fact that half the grid decided to write themselves off on turn 3. Well, turn 3 and 4. Probably gained a bit of an advantage, but it'll be interesting to see how they do. But yeah, up into 13th place at the moment. Dan Bernard, where are you going to come out? You are leaving the pits now. It looks like has dropped back down to 15th place, but crucially, he is now our leading pitted driver, and by quite some margin. Law, as we saw earlier on, this is the Sector Blitz racing team. He was sort of on that second pack of cars trying to battle his way through. He is now down in 17th place after completing his mandatory pit stop. It's saying currently that Scheckerman is in front of him, but I don't think he is. It's definitely not. Scheckerman is right back in, just going through turn 1. So there we go. Timing board now finally sorting itself out. This is where it's all going to get a little bit wobbly as we're sort of around the halfway mark in the race. We sort of get this mixture of cars that have pitted. Some have, some haven't. Some obviously had to pit very, very early. Oh, and Nathaniel Shirley, after facing the fastest lap of the race earlier, has now picked up a drive-through penalty. So car number 46 in the pits as well now. This is Sherlin George running in 27th place, and he has got McGonigal right behind him. Once again, incredibly bright colours and fantastic noises coming off these cars. I feel it's only right to have a little look over the rear wing. So looking at Mustang to Mustang. Yeah, apparently, there we go. So someone is telling me Robinson started in 42nd position on the grid. So it'll be very interesting to see where they come out once they're on their pits. And now up in 12th place because of pit stops. Camera's going all over the place. Sorry, everyone at home. That's probably a little bit of camera-based whiplash going on. So Luca does now come into the pit. So the big one to keep an eye on is going to be Jones versus Luca. So we will jump on board with Jones, who is still our leading pitted driver. He is about halfway around the lap at the moment. Got Dan Bernard all over the back of him, to be fair. Not a very big gap between them. And is that Smulders? That is Smulders, who is technically our 3rd place pitted driver. So this could get super, super close towards the end of this race. 31, I say the end of the race. It's not even the halfway point yet. So much has happened so far. Zorich in the pit, Sims in the pit as well. Going to stick with them for the moment. Rose is now leading the race with Matthias in his 2nd place. Where is Luca? Is Luca up and running yet? Yeah, he's just dropped to the floor. And I think he should just about hold on to 1st place. Maybe not there. Mr. Jones coming flying up behind him. He's going to be on nice hot tyres. Can he do anything here? Mr. Jones has definitely caught up with the back of XVI. Whether or not maybe he was fixing any damage that was sustained during lap 1, I'm not entirely sure. He does go a bit deep there. Jones is going to be absolutely going for it. And seeing that Crows has taken over, so Melvin Crows has taken over pole position. At the moment doing 1:44.9s. That's 2nd slower than his best lap that we have seen previously. It could be that Kroos stays out a long time. Yeah, seeing it in the chat there, saying about going for the overcut possibly. Yeah, it probably is going to be the way it'll go. Right, Kuric, car number 17, coming into the pits, who was in provisional 3rd place. I think Mr. Jones is still going quicker than Luca in front of him at the moment. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Mathiasen, though, at the moment, leads the race. He has not pitted yet, but technically this is our race leader. Oh, no, it's not Kroos'. Why do I think Kroos has gone into the pit? I'm not entirely sure why. Kroos is definitely in pole position for the CrowdStrike Racing car by Lipa Motorsport. Try and say that 10 times quickly. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. Schuber's just set an absolutely fantastic lap time, kind of a 68. Schuber with a 1:43.6, currently running in 12th place. Has set the fastest lap of this stint for Prime E-Racing. Car looking fairly well settled. Again, we saw last night that they did very, very well. We go seeing in the chat. Apparently, yeah, Kroos never got the SBR livery memo. Yeah, I was pretty sure I have got his livery installed now, but there we go. Obviously deciding to run a different livery this evening. Maybe next time round. So Kroos will be completely different looking by the time it comes round. But Mathiasen now into the pits. On board now, quickly. Mr. Jones still chasing after the back of Luca. Oh, I was having a bit of a wobble there. And then Dan Bernard running just a little bit further back. DBR, I'm going to vote that. That definitely stands for Dan Bernard Racing. It just has to, doesn't it? And then slightly further back again, we've got Smolders, Schuber and Law as well. Also still having a bit of a squad. We've got cars going all over the place now. Let's see, which car was that we just saw? Which... It was 40 something on the back of it, so I'm presuming that's 35th place, so trying to jump out the way. Obviously having to rejoin the racing line to get through turn 1, but doing a good job of trying to stay out the way as best as possible. Kalnins running in the 114 Digital Racing Systems esports car. They're technically in 3rd place. Obviously this car has not pitted yet. Again, we're only just really got past the halfway point. Still just shy of 27 minutes left of racing left to go. It is closing right up now, though. Here we go. Jones versus Luca. Porsche versus Aston Martin. It is getting mighty, mighty close. Can he do anything here, though? It's going to be super, super close. They're coming up on a back marker. Car number 3, the Roa Racing BMW. There are blue flags in effect for that driver, but it might be just enough to possibly unsettle Luca and allow Jones to make a move. Again, the Aston Martin on paper should be able to do it, although the Porsche, I know the BOP favours it quite nicely. It's got quite a significant amount of weight removed from it. This obviously being the older Porsche as well, so it's not even the new one, it's the old one. I'm amazed that car is still in any way competitive. Thank God for BOP, so balance of performance. And if you weren't aware that, yes, AOR, we are running a custom balance of performance. So rather than just the old in-game ones, we are running a custom one. And this allows us to update it on the fly and keep it all nicely in check, looking at sort of lap times that are being put in across the community. And that means that some of these older cars can come back. and have a good old race. That's how you get the older Porsche up against some of these big brand new boys. So Crows is in the pits. Where is Melvin Crows? Melvin Crows still coming into the pits. If we look where Luca is, Luca and Jones are definitely going to pass them. But big moves here coming up from Jones. It looks like he is fully on the attack. He was right on the back of the Porsche. He is slightly outlapping that car. I'm going to say actually last time round it was a significantly decent improvement. By 0.02 of a second he was quicker. So now it really becomes a case of how long can Luca hold on to it. Jones is absolutely giving it everything, snarling at the back of the Porsche. Where's Crow's going to come out? I think he's still in the pits. He is rolling, but I think if we look, Luca is already going to be down into turn 1 and round. He's still not even released from the pit. We can see him in the background there. So, played a bit of a brave one. And he is going to come out just in front of Craig Law for Sector Blitz Racing. So, Crows is now going to be running, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be running in 8th position. Once the lap time finally sorts itself out, it's still showing them all over the place. But yeah, could have been close, but I think it was just a case of a little bit further round. It really does seem to be that you've got to be in the pits before the other car, and sort of in your pit box, before the other car gets to sort of turn 5, turn 6. That is the real cut-off point. Any later than that and you will be overtaken before the car moves the pits. So, needless to say, a little bit messy, but yes, as you're seeing in the chat as well, newer tyres, possibly, bit of a chance to possibly gain, who knows. So Crows actually is running in 6th place. I got that completely wrong. I thought he was going to be running in 7th, but he's not, running in 6th place. And be interesting to see what he can do with this lap. And with his upcoming lap time, still got just over 22 minutes of racing left to go. Luca still holding on to pole position at the moment, closely followed by Mr. Jones, who is closely followed by Dan Bernard, and who is even closer followed by Smulders. This battle, essentially, for P1 is going to be continuing on, and I don't think we're going to see any breaks to this for the next 22 minutes. Oh, Brogan and Scheckerman both have drive-through penalties. That will be for track limits offences. Very, very easy to do. You just go outside of lines. A few too many times you end up picking up those lovely penalties, and drive-through penalties do absolutely suck. At least it's not Spa, where it's the world's longest. Oh, car number 47. We have just seen a yellow flag out for car number 47. Who was car number 47? Have they disappeared from my timing board? I really hope they haven't. Car number 47. This is Vermac going back 30 seconds. Hopefully we've caught it. Yes, we have. This is down at turn 1. He is technically a back marker. Oh, and he's just gone super deep. Oh, no! Of all the people to hit. And he's come across, and pretty sure that was the back of the Lamborghini that we've been keeping such a close eye on. Was that Craig? No, it wasn't Craig Lloyd. Was that Crows? I think that was Crows. Not entirely sure, because it was kind of, it just briefly showed it, and then the camera really annoyingly just didn't show the car ever again. That was certainly a bit of a choice rejoin there, especially for a oh yeah, it was Crows, being confirmed. It definitely was Melvin Crows. But see, this is the joy of being in touch with some of the teams. You can get little insight. You get the garage microphone. It's there. It's letting us know what's going on inside the pit. And yes, Crows team confirming it was that car that was clipped. To be fair, it doesn't seem to have lost too much ground. Still running in 7th place, just behind Law. Obviously, that was the other way round just a moment ago. But yeah, bit of a shame on that one. Dan Bernard running in third place at the moment. Seems like Mr. Jones is just... I'm just going to call him Jones. Mr. Jones is so annoying. I wish it was just Jones. Jones is pulling away ever so slightly, going after the back of Luca. That battle has really started to close up again. Maybe traffic starting to work to his favour just that little bit. Jones now on the brakes hard, tucking in behind the Porsche. Porsche's going to be really good on corner exit. He can get that power down once the track starts to straighten up. But the overall car that I would say is probably going to feel most comfortable long term over the race is going to be the Aston. And with about 19.5 minutes left of the race, anything can happen. And as we've seen so far in this race, everything is happening. It has been maybe a bit of a one to forget, I think, for quite a few races here this evening. Probably a lot of them either pulling their hair out or hanging their heads in shame. I would be very, very surprised if post-race the results stay the same, especially inside this top 5 drivers. I think we are going to see a big old difference. Yeah, obviously seeing in the Discord chat and also from teams and stuff, lots of unhappy drivers, understandably. Oh, Melvin Croce, he's made the move. He has made the move. Where was that? We missed that one. Apologies. We'll jump back on board within 30 seconds back. So I'm going to vote this must have been on the pit straight. And we'll jump to the drone cam to get that overhead shot. Now, if he's managed to do this into turn 1, that is a mega, mega run. That must have been a mistake from Craig Law, possibly. It doesn't look like he's even anywhere near close enough. Shows his nose to the inside, brakes super late, and just goes through. I cannot believe how easy he managed to make that look. Although, I do think that might have been a bit of team orders, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure, even though they're technically not looking like they're on the same team, they are definitely on the same team. So, I think maybe it was a case of they've let them through. Yeah, and seeing their teammates, again, the in-garage chat, in the pit crew chat, letting me know that yes, that was definitely a bit of team orders. Crows obviously being the faster of those two drivers, being released and being able to try and go after the back of Schubert. He's got a long way to go, 3.5 seconds pretty much. Oh no, sorry, 4.5 seconds to try and make up. It's going to be a mega, mega drive. Although according to the other timing screen, the live timing, it's only about 2 seconds. 17 minutes to gain 2 seconds. It's maybe doable. Who knows? We'll have to see what their lap times start to look like. Just hearing as well, if I want lottery numbers, I need to let him know. Need to let Ben Milden know from SBR Racing. Yeah, I might do actually. To be fair, got a mortgage to pay. It'd be far easier if I could just pay it in one big lump. Anyway, jumping on board with a slightly different car now. Car number 707 of Brian Anderson for AOR SXVI. It's probably going to be Season XVI, so Season 16. I just could not, in my brain, work that out until I'd actually said it out loud. But Zorich looks to the inside, thinks better of it, sticks in behind, but this one is certainly starting to heat up. Can Zorich do what he wants to do? Can he manage to get in front and get it done? That's the wrong camera. That's the splitter camera. I never realised they had a painted splitter on these cars. The camera mounted right down there at the very front of the car, and you can get an idea of just how fast they are going. This low camera as we churn our way through turn 4. Camera nearly gets absolutely eaten there by the curb on the inside of turn 4. Now for turn 5, you can hear the tyres just on the edge of adhesion. They're starting to squeak a little bit. Oh, gets a little bit of a jump on the exit, but the car in front as well. There seems to be a lot of dirt being kicked up from in front of them. I think that is Misiek in front, kicking out a fair bit of dirt. But Anderson at the moment keeping Zorich behind them. Oh, a little bit of a hesitation there on the throttle, trying to keep it within the limits. But are we going to see a move here? Looks to the inside, but not able to do anything quite yet. But Sipka Racing doing a very, very nice job of hanging onto the back of the 707 Ferrari of Anderson. And then going a bit further down, we've got Jay Jans running in 18th place at the moment, followed by Robert Arlavi in the AMG 335 J Cool. But Arlavi has got a monstrously good run. Are we going to be able to see something into turn 1? I imagine the AMG Mercedes is going to be a bit quicker. He's indicating over to the left, so whether or not he is going to let Arlavi through, and yeah, no efforts to stop Arlavi going through. Obviously thinking to himself, it's better to let him through rather than slow ourselves down. He's better to just let him through, stick him behind him and see what he can do. Car number 68, but now with a yellow flag, and that's Karl Schuber. What happened to Karl Schuber? That looks like it's at the chicane. What happened here? So we are on board with Schuber. This is turn 4, going up towards turn 5. He's got a big pack of cars in front of him. I think this is a mixture of back markers and current racers, and it all gets a bit close and choppy. Oh, absolutely stoved in by the Ferrari. Goodness gracious, that Ferrari absolutely ate the back of that McLaren there. Annoyingly, I missed the number on the side of that Ferrari. Not sure which one it was, but not what they would have wanted there. Karl Schuber now carrying probably significant rear-end damage. And I imagine that McLaren is going to feel somewhat like driving a bowl of jelly. And yeah, you can see the back end of it already looking very, very skittish. We'll try and have a little bit of a workout which one of the cars that was. It was one of the Ferraris. Wasn't the Rita Engineering Esports one. It's Anderson. Definitely wasn't Anderson. We'll get on a bit further. Jokic. Has that got front end damage? Let's have a look. Maybe a little bit, but not obviously. It's not Sims. That's the totally wrong colour. It's definitely not Dorber. Trying to see if there's any further Ferraris. Oh, there was Bozico as well, and that's like a possibly quite highly damaged Bozico. No, it wasn't Bozico. Definitely wasn't Bozico because it was pretty much all black. Was it Oliver Braun? Let's keep going through the list and see if we can find a Ferrari with a load of front end damage. I think we may have found the perpetrator on that one. Quite possibly. Not sure. Pretty sure it was. Pretty sure it was that car, but yeah, there we go. Seeing in the chat as well, someone saying they reckon it was Braun. Oh, here's incidents going on. Kind of 187 making their way through a back marker. It's one of those things where the timing board sort of shows it up as a battle, but it isn't actually a battle. It's simply a case of cars going through. Kroos has now set the fastest lap of the race since he's been released by his teammate. So Kroos is now doing 1:43.55s. I don't think he's had that for a little while. It seems to be quite new. Again, you can see cars trying to get out of the way, but you've got to be a bit careful when you are a blue flagged car, because obviously it's sometimes easier just to stick on the racing line and not cause too many incidents, because you don't want to sort of be chopping and changing where you are on the circuit trying to avoid the racing line, whereas actually sometimes it's better to stick where you are and just let the fast boys go on through. But there's number 59 Mercedes currently in the middle. Quite the sandwich move here into turn 1. Zorich going through on Anderson, so the 707 car loses a position to 175. Through goes Zorich. Look over the back. Rebellion liveried rear wing. Sipka racing this car. We can get a little bit of a look back at that lovely liveried Ferrari that we did just see get dispatched down at turn 1. Turn 1, one of those corners where it does really sort of evokes decent racing here. One of the few places on the circuit where it is sort of easy enough to set up a move, and it's very hard to defend because it's such a wide track. Jumping on board now, this is Melvin Kroos looking over the rear wing. He has just dispatched yet another back marker, making his way through, or I'm fairly sure that is a back marker behind him. Yes, indeed it is. That is one of the back markers behind. And he's got another one in front, so we've got a few more to go. But doing fairly decent work of getting his way through. About 10 minutes of the race left to go. Can Crows get himself up into 4th place? He's got a bit of a drive still to go. Still about 2 seconds worth of driving, but there is traffic now. And obviously traffic may help him gain positions, but it is also possibly going to aid in losing positions as well. It's one of those things. Traffic giveth and tracketh, taketh, awayeth. Putting all the THs on the end of that sentence. You can see here, a bit of a lift for the... Oh, this is what I mean. You've got to be so careful when you're trying to pass a back marker. It can be very easy to sort of... You're trying to let someone through, but they don't necessarily read your signals quite as you thought they were going to, and they end up in a bit of the circuit you weren't expecting. And sometimes when you're going slower to try and let someone through, that is when you make mistakes. You never practice racing at sort of 80% speed. You always practicing absolutely flat out, giving it everything. So then suddenly you find yourself going a bit slower and you realise that, oh, all my braking zones and all my turn-in zones are completely wrong. And it's very, very easy to suddenly start making mistakes. A little bit further up the grid, 3rd place, Dan Bernard, still being chased down by Smolders. But this is the little one going, this is sort of the battle going on the road just up in front of Crows. So, little battle going on. Satam versus Jans. And also Robinson in the background as well, looking to try and take advantage of this. 8 minutes, 20 seconds left of racing to go. And Satam seems to be just about holding off Jans for the moment, but Robinson is very much looking like he wants to get through. In fact, let's go to Robinson and see if we can jump onto the dashboard. Here we go, getting a bit of an in the cockpit view, seeing what it is looking like for this battle going on in front of him that he is desperate to try and take advantage of. They are very, very close. We might be able to see something finally into turn 1. Who is going to be bravest on the brakes? Does look a little bit like Satam. Went a little bit deep in the middle of the corner. Whether or not that was to try and optimise exit speed, I'm not sure. We're on board at the moment. Are we going to see a move from anyone at the moment? Jans does look to the inside. But is that to go defensive or is that to attack? Not entirely sure. Either way, Robinson is trying to get an advantage. Now the move in front seems to be kicking off. Jay Jans looked like he was going to be able to do something. Wasn't quite able to. Down into turn 2. Again, shows the nose, but not able to take advantage. They're all staying the procession that they are for now. But I think this is about to become the kind of time where people are going to start throwing spaghetti to the wall and see what sticks. And just seeing in the chat there, Izolovich, twice killed today, just not my day. Yeah, sometimes a bit of bad luck. Bit of bad luck. I will say that any Tier 2 drivers that are now in the chat, please make sure you have saved a copy of the replay. One, because I'd love a copy of it myself so I can have a bit of a look back through some of the incidents, just for my own personal pleasure, but also to make sure that you do put in your reports for any incidents that are happening. I know you may be thinking it's not worth it, but it is 100% worth it to put in reports to the stewards. It is how we improve the community here at AOR. It is how you make sure that if there is people out on track you're not overly happy with, that is how you make sure they get their just deserves. Their just desert. So, continuing on, Arlavi versus Sims at this point. It's the Kessel Racing. Nice looking liveried Ferrari, that one. And up at the front, it was saying very briefly that the battle at the front's come right down. But it doesn't appear to. No, that is because there is a back marker in the middle that is absolutely throwing everything to pieces. Mr. Jones, in fact, has now got quite a bit of traffic in front of him. He's got 2 battling cars in front of him, it would seem. So I think Jones's chances of beating Luca on the circuit are probably starting to go away, although he is making his way through. Drivers moving off the racing line for him, giving him plenty of inside room. Then we've got Bernard, who is now being chased down by Crows. But as you can hear, sneaking through the back, here comes Crows, absolutely flying. Still got about 5 minutes left of the race to go, and I think he definitely could get himself onto the back of this battle. Could even get himself onto the podium if he could just keep pushing and pushing. Oh, that's because someone's in the pits. There was a bit of a wobble on the old timing screen then. But Dan Bernard currently holding on to third place, but he does have Smulders right behind him, and he does have Crows, who seems to have just found another gear from somewhere, not entirely sure. As we can see, Smulders is now dropping back into the clutches of Crows, and it's definitely going to be a bit of a push towards the end. 4 minutes left of racing, so it should be another 2 laps, maybe 3, depending on how it goes. He might just squeeze another one in. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to see what time Luca goes across the line. Speaking of Luca, it looks like he has broken away from the front of his pack just a little bit again. This one, Satam, Jans, Robinson, and who else have we got there? That's a Ferrari there, but I'm not sure which Ferrari that is. I think that is a car sort of on a different lap, quite possibly. But Jans still really, really holding on to the back of Satam. They'll be desperate for a mistake from Satam. I'm not sure it's going to come. He's been very, very quick and clean all evening long. About 3 minutes of the race left to go. And I think we're going to get 2. I think it's 2 more laps of racing after this. I'm going to vote. I'm going to say 2 more laps of racing. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Robinson looks to be trying to make moves now and trying to get through. Entirely sure he's going to be able to do it, though. He has got that Ferrari right on the back of him. From seeing the windscreen, that position is 37th, so that car is well out of position. Jans does look to the inside, finally trying to make a move down the inside into turn 1. Can he get it done? Loads of room given by the 22 car, and through comes Robinson as well. Absolutely cinched that one. Flying along. In fact, he's going to be on the outside of Jans down into turn 3. Can he get anything done here? Sorry, turn 2. Can he do anything? Can he hold on to it? He's good if he can keep it there. He's definitely locked in that position. He's on the inside for turn 3. Can they hold it together through here? No, they can't. Had to back out slightly, and he might lose the position again now after having to lose quite a lot of speed, but he is going to be on the inside for turn 4. Robinson side by side with Satam, and he does finally get it done. The SimTech Racing Team driver, Lewis Robinson, car number 336, does get the position, gets himself up into 19th place, I think is what's going to happen when they finally sort out the timing awards. Or it might still be 20th, I'm not entirely sure. But there we go, he has made a position. Jans now runs in front, then Robinson, then Satam. That was a beautiful bit of racing, and people say that Hungaroring, so many rings, Hungaroring doesn't give good racing. It does, but it is only when drivers show each other full respect, but go absolutely 100% at him. I think we're seeing Melbourne Crows going through, making a move. We're going to jump back 10 seconds, see if we can catch that in the making. That was round the outside at turn 1, I'm going to say. And then down towards turn 2, gets into the braking zone and gets the car thrown in and done. Crows still on an absolute flyer. 44 seconds left on the time. And it's when the counter goes to 0. Then when they cross the line, that is the final lap. And there's an incident in front. Goodness gracious. That could not have been any closer to an absolute disaster for a couple of those drivers. Goodness gracious. Let's see if we can go back. So who was this? This is Backmarker running in 26th place. And that's Jones coming up behind him. Jones looks to the outside, does go around the outside. And then it's these two, kind of a 13, and oh, gets together. And there's cars going left and right. And see, this is what we say about holding the brakes. I know it may seem daft to hold the brakes in the middle of the racetrack. You think, God's sake, get off the circuit. But if either of those cars had moved, as we're now seeing the Aston Martin moving a little bit, if those cars had moved while those drivers were going through, then it would have caused an even bigger incident for everyone involved. Right. In fact, that was the last lap. So Luca comes across the line in pole. Jones, probably the most stressful last lap of his life, in second. Bernard is going to come across in third. Crows in fourth. Great lap for Crows. Yeah, and then we're seeing Smolders and then Law coming across the line as well now. We're going to jump back to some of the battles still going on, being pushed around the final corner. Oh, but there we go. Yeah, the Mathiasson did completely back out to not steal the position away there. So I think that will probably be forgotten by the stewards, to be fair. I don't think there was anything too out of order going on, but this is a nice one to keep an eye on. This is Jans versus Robinson. This battle still raging on. Robinson's been desperate to try and gain another position, but just hasn't quite been able to get past. Still holding on, absolutely fantastic. And then we go actually, yeah, seeing in the chat there, Ben Milden for SBR. Big cheer for his team. Getting 4th and 6th. Very, very respectable results there this evening. Well, it has to be said, it has been what can only be described as a bit of a race. It has definitely been a little bit strange. Let's just say that, shall we? It's, yes. Well, that is the end of the race. Hopefully, we are going to get podium interviews now. So fingers crossed we can get some. But while we're waiting for that, let's go across to a slightly nicer image. And then I can run through the race finishing order. There we go. So should be able to hear me now. I've got rid of the absolutely ridiculously loud amount of noise that were going on in the background. Could definitely get rid of the starting soon bit. For whatever reason, that hasn't disappeared. Not entirely sure why. Why hasn't that disappeared? You can go away. You don't need to be there. Right, there we go. So, people crossing the line, let's get that order into your ears, and then we can go from there. I'm going to make sure I save that replay. Oh, fantastic. I have been able to. Let's save it all. Save it all. Right. Timetables. Let's go through the race finishing. So, as of now, without any post-race penalties that may come to fruition, and I think there are definitely going to be some post-race penalties coming to fruition. As for now, as they cross the line, it was Luca in pole, Jones in second, Bernard third, Crows fourth, Smolders fifth, Law in sixth, Zytek in seventh, Schuber in eighth, Chirich in 9th and Loggins in 10th. And a bit further down the grid again, 11th Mathiasson, Zoricic in 12th place, Misak 13th, Anderson 14th, and 15th was Jokic. Some decent racing and then some possibly not so decent racing at the very beginning of the race. I'm not entirely sure we're going to get anyone in for the interviews, which is a bit of a shame. I was hoping we might get someone in for a bit of an interview, but it would seem that everyone is maybe still cooling down after that race. Oh, hang on. There might be someone here who is this. For whatever reason, it's not letting me see their full name, as is always the case. I'm hoping this is someone from our race. We'll have to wait and see. And what's going to happen is I'll drag someone in and we won't know. Let's see. This might be... For whatever reason, can't see who I've dragged into the booth, but please introduce yourself.
Hi, it's Dan Barnard, so P3 in the race.
Yes, fantastic. For whatever reason, my Discord is only showing you up as B. It wasn't showing anything else. But Dan Barnard, yeah, amazing. Thank you ever so much for joining us in the booth. For a little while, I didn't think we were going to get anyone in the booth because it's been a excitable race, shall we say, especially the beginning. How did that lap one incident look for you when you were sort of coming across it?
In a word, scary. Also a little bit bittersweet as well because that was my teammate. So I probably had a bit more forewarning more than most other people did. But yeah, I luckily just managed to brake in time, keep control of the car, swerve out of it, and luckily hold position. So a bit bittersweet with it being my teammate, but certainly gained a few positions and yeah, managed to pretty much stay there for the entirety of the race really.
Well, I mean, yeah, getting yourself up into third place, absolutely spot on. I mean, yeah, qualified in sixth, which is certainly respectable inside the 143s. And then obviously in the race, getting yourself up to third. I am going to say that the way that people cross the line, I don't think is how it is going to stay post race once the penalties start rolling in, because no doubt there is going to be some serious penalties going on, because there was some serious shenanigans all throughout the race. But somehow you managed to keep your nose clean. But absolutely fantastic. I'm just having a little look where you placed last week. You'll know better than I will because I have to read about it. Uh,
P15, I think, once penalties have all been applied.
Yeah, P15 it was. So really good finish and a massive improvement. So the second of the rings on the calendar this time round obviously worked much better to your favour than the than last time round. Obviously, we are going over to the daunting mountain that is Bathurst next week. How are you feeling about heading over there in the Ferrari?
Well, I am a Norfolk lad, so aside from Snetterton, Bathurst is the best track on the calendar, so I am looking forward to it.
Absolutely fantastic. Good to hear. Good to hear. Actually, there was real life GT racing at Snetterton this weekend as well, which again that all popped off in spectacular way post race as well. If anyone watches the
I was I was there, so
Oh, you were there. They were there. So yeah,
I
you
was there.
you you probably saw Ferguson throwing hands at everybody then at the end of the race and getting not just his car but his entire team of both cars disqualified from the race weekend because he couldn't keep his emotions in check. So hopefully the tier 2 drivers aren't going to do the same, and we're not going to be reporting on fights in the steward's office and bits and pieces. But yeah, it was certainly excitable this weekend, it has to be said, with lots of cars blowing up gearboxes and stuff sort of midway through. So the main one you're looking forward to then is going to be Snetterton, is it? Which obviously is a little way away. So we've obviously got Mount Panorama coming up, or Bathurst, then Snetterton. So two tracks that you like. Which track then, apart from the ones we've done, are you least looking forward to? What have we got left? We've got Valencia, Laguna Seca, and then Red Bull Ring. Another ring, even more rings for me to try and pronounce.
Yeah, they're all tracks I do like, but I think Laguna Seca is always a track where I've never had great results in the past, so it can be a bit of a bogey track, and it demands perfection. Like actually very similar to the A1 ring as well as the finale. So they're probably going to be a bit daunting, especially if it's going to be as close as it's been as right now up until the end as well. So
Yeah, I think
time
sort of
will tell.
obviously, I'd like to think the racing is going to stay as close as it is, but I know what you mean about Laguna Seca. It's one of those tracks I love racing on, but I am shocking at it. Very similar to Donington. I love Donington, but I am absolutely pants at it. So, which is a shame because it's such a fun circuit, but I can never put a decent lap together. I just have a
Everyone has that bogey track as well.
Yeah, everyone has a circuit that they just absolutely suck at. Weirdly, one of my better circuits is Bathurst. It's one of the circuits I do all right at. It's the only time I've ever had a pole position end. It was in the rain. I managed to finish in pole. No idea how. In an Audi of all things. Just having a little look now. I've got someone else trying to jump into the chat. I'm not sure which one that is because for some reason everybody always has the wrong names on Discord. But yeah, it was a fantastic race for you this evening. Is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out?
I will give a shout out to my teammate Nat Nat and the rest of my teammates in the Celtic Bromance as well.
Ah, you're a
So,
Kotick bromance drive. Yes, yes, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense. You're not running a ridiculous Celtic bromance livery though
no,
at
I
the
didn't get
moment.
it in on time, so I may sort that out for
Send
next
it
round for you.
over. Send it to me
So,
directly. Just send it to me directly. I've had so many this season. It's been an absolute mess. So yeah, send it to me directly
will do.
on Discord. I will get it on the screen for you next time round. Do not worry. Thank you ever so much for joining us, Dan. It's been a pleasure to speak with you, and obviously congratulations on your podium finish.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Bye.
Right. another interview coming in. They're currently muted. Hopefully they're going to realise they're here. They are here.
Hello.
And I am going to come out and say that your username means absolutely nothing compared to the in-race name. So please introduce yourself.
I'm P1.
Ah, here we go. Right. It was quite a race. We'll say that your pace was absolutely fantastic, and sort of after everything had calmed down a little bit, you seem to be having great battles with Jones all throughout the race. Two things I've got to say: why on earth are you running the old Porsche? Why on earth are you running that? And secondly, congratulations on the win.
Well, I'm running the old Porsche because in LFM I can't run the old Porsche if I want to have any kind of competitive racing because I don't get minus kilos.
Right.
But
Okay.
Good. But in here I get like minus 40 kilos.
Yeah,
I think
looking at it now, yeah, it is minus 40 kilos compared to everything else. And whereas actually, if you run the modern Porsche, it's plus 18 kilos. So yeah, quite a difference. Obviously, that the BOP that we are running here making quite the difference. Are you enjoying being able to use slightly different cars in comparison to newer ones?
I mean, it's different, but it's not. It doesn't drive the same as it did in 1.8.
The update has made a fair old change to it. I feel like we've got to address the elephant in the room a little bit. Obviously, the turn 2/turn 3 incident at the beginning of the race. Sort of, I don't know how it looked from your position, but just sort of, in no way are we putting any blame in anywhere. This is just a case of you're here, so let's have a quick chat about it. How did it sort of look from your position?
I mean, I looked at in the replay, and my front tire is where the Ford's rear tire is, so I feel like I have a right to be there, and he didn't really leave too much space.
Fair enough.
We come together. Tough luck.
Yeah. So, we'll say I imagine the stewards will probably be looking into that one because after it was that you two got together, then it turned out the rest of the field just didn't understand what a yellow flag was, and they all kept their foot down. And I think half the field had a crash, so we had a very weird split field for the rest of the race. We kind of had the people that had pitted very early on, but with extra long pits, and then people that didn't get involved in the incident managed to sort of drive through and keep going, and then do their normal sort of pit strategies like yourself and others around you. Looked like you were having quite a good squabble with Jones for a fair while. Obviously, he was leading for a little while, and then he managed to get it back. Were you feeling the pressure from Jones behind?
I mean, in the first stint, I was just driving behind him, seeing if I can pressure him into making a mistake. Then he made a mistake in turn 1. Then I overtook him, and then I was just waiting to see if the forecast was any rain at the end of the race. So there wasn't any rain. So then I pitted at like 32 minutes, I think. Then I messed up the pit stop, got moved, lost like 4 seconds, I think. And then after like 5 laps, I realized I didn't click on apply pressures. So that was nice.
So your second stint was a great laugh. Sort of battling the car. Yeah, it did look like Jones sort of in that second stint really sort of was bringing the fight back to you. He'd get up close behind you. He was able to catch, but wasn't ever quite able to sort of get a move going and manage to go down the inside or anything. He would get close, but not quite close enough. But overall, a great race. Obviously, we've got Bathurst coming up next week. Some races, it's got a 50-50 split. Some people are saying they absolutely love it. Some people are saying they absolutely hate it.
I hate it.
You hate it. Fair enough. And not overly excited about
trash track.
Trash track. I mean, it's got walls, so I mean, you can't get many track cuts on it because it's got lots of walls. So there's no chances of drive through penalties or anything there.
Yeah, but it's just walls and then straights.
Yeah, that is fair. So which circuit are you looking forward to, if not Bathurst? Obviously, we've got Snetterton, Valencia, Laguna Seca, and then finishing up at Red Bull Ring. Any of those circuits tickling your fancy, or are you kind of just not really looking forward to any of them too much?
I mean, I haven't driven Snetterton in like 2 years. Then the next track, I don't know. Never driven with this car there. Laguna should be nice, I guess. And the last track I haven't driven in this car either.
Yeah, to be fair,
I
I haven't driven Red Bull Ring at all in this game yet. It's one of those. It's one of the sort of latter DLCs that came out, and I didn't get it straight away because it only came with, I think, GT2 cars, so I wasn't overly bothered about those at the time. But I did eventually get it. I luckily managed to get given it. So yeah, well. So fingers crossed for Laguna Seca then. Got a little way to go, just a couple of weeks to go. But yeah, so you'll be just sort of fingers crossed for Bathurst and Stetson that you can sort of like try and hold it together and just try and make it through those 2 weeks sort of reasonably unscathed in the walls or either on the grass at Stetson. So thank you ever so much for joining me this evening. I've got to quickly ask, how do I pronounce your second name? Because it's been given to me in text, but I always just out of habit just go back to Ziege, but I know it isn't Ziege. So how do we pronounce your last name, sir?
Siege. I don't know if you can even say this.
I will do my best. Now I know it's more of a hard G as opposed to a soft G. That's fine. I can do it. I will work it out for next time round. Yeah. So I do apologise for previously sort of saying it wrong. I've just reverted to calling you Luca. It just works out easier. My daft English tongue works out better. Oh, and apologies if loads of noise has just come through my mic. A jet just flew over my house. So
I don't hear anything.
Okay. It was very loud in my ears. But yeah, thank you ever so much for joining us tonight, mate. And yeah, we will see you next Tuesday for another round of Apex Online Racing.
Yeah, thanks for commentary.
No worries at all.
See you next week, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think not.
Well,
Probably not.
You never know.
See ya.
Cheers. Right, so that is it for another round of Apex Online Racing's Sprint Cup Series. That was Tier 2. So join us again, same time, same place on Tuesday next week, where we are at Bathurst, the mountain, and who can conquer it. But also, if you cannot wait an entire week, well, do not worry. Monday, we have Tier 1, so they will be going to Bathurst as well. They are the tippy top boys and girls of racing, so very much worth a watch. And then luckily you've only got another day to wait until Tier 2, which, you know, is always nice to watch as well. So thank you ever so much for joining us. Again, shout out to our sponsor, Driver61, and to the lovely patrons that keep us going here. Thank you ever so much for joining us, and we will see you for round 3 on Monday.